Right now, your brain is actively working against you, and it's winning. Procrastination isn't laziness. It's a sophisticated neurological defense mechanism your subconscious built to protect you from pain. The terrifying part? The more intelligent you are, the more elaborate the trap. By the end, I'll reveal the exact 90-second neurological override technique that dismantles this mechanism permanently. We'll expose 3 hidden mechanisms destroying your productivity. First, the limbic hijack, how your emotional brain silently overrides logic. Second, the identity trap, why your sense of self makes you sabotage your own goals. Third, the dopamine debt spiral, the biochemical addiction fueling every delay. The real secret, though, surfaces only when all 3 collide. Stay until the end. You wake up with a plan. By noon, you've watched 3 hours of content you won't remember tomorrow. The project sits untouched. The guilt accumulates, dense, suffocating. You promise yourself tomorrow will be different. It never is. This isn't a character flaw. Research from the University of Calgary, 2007, confirms procrastination is a relentless emotional regulation failure, not a time management problem. Dr. Timothy Pichel's 2-decade longitudinal study revealed something disturbing. Chronic procrastinators don't avoid tasks. They avoid the negative emotions attached to tasks. Boredom, self-doubt, fear of failure, anxiety about judgment. The task itself is irrelevant. Your subconscious has cataloged every possible threat within it, and each time you approach it, the limbic system fires a silent alarm. Retreat. And you obey every single time. Here's where psychology reveals something deeply disturbing. Your brain cannot distinguish between a physical threat and an uncomfortable email. Neuroimaging studies from 2013, published in Psychological Science, show that merely thinking about an unpleasant task activates the same neural pain regions as physical injury. Your procrastination isn't weakness. It's your nervous system executing a sophisticated pain avoidance subroutine, one evolution spent millions of years perfecting. The limbic hijack operates through your amygdala, the brain's relentless threat detection sentinel. When triggered, it floods the prefrontal cortex, your rational, planning brain, with cortisol and adrenaline, effectively shutting down executive function. This is why no amount of to-do lists, productivity apps, or motivational speeches permanently fixes procrastination. You're applying logical solutions to a neurological problem operating below conscious awareness. Now enters the identity trap, arguably the darkest mechanism. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research reveals that high-achieving individuals frequently link self-worth to performance outcomes. The subconscious conclusion becomes lethal. If I attempt this and fail, I am a failure. Not the attempt, but me, fundamentally. So the brain engineers a brilliant escape. Never attempt it. Incompletion becomes armor. Procrastination becomes the guardian of a fragile, constructed self-image. The dopamine debt spiral seals the trap. Your brain releases dopamine in anticipation of rewards, not their actual achievement. Scrolling, gaming, snacking, these deliver instant, cheap dopamine hits that your brain begins preferring over the delayed, uncertain reward of meaningful work. Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman confirmed in 2021 that each artificial dopamine spike raises your baseline requirement, making real-world tasks feel increasingly colorless, dull, and biologically impossible to begin. Wait, because the darkest part is coming. These 3 mechanisms don't operate independently. They form a closed neurological loop specifically designed to feel like rational decision-making. You believe you're choosing to rest, choosing to be realistic, choosing to start tomorrow. You're not choosing anything. The loop is choosing for you, and it's been doing so since childhood, reinforced by every avoidance behavior you've ever performed, growing more efficient with each repetition. Breaking the loop requires intervening at the neurological level, not the behavioral one. The first weapon is temptation bundling, coined by behavioral economist Catherine Milkman at Wharton, 2014. You pair a low-pleasure necessary task with a high-pleasure experience exclusively reserved for that task. The subconscious stops registering the task as pure threat. Dopamine anticipation transfers onto the task itself. The amygdala receives a conflicting signal. This feels rewarding, not dangerous. The second weapon targets the identity trap directly. Psychologist Peter Gollwitzer's implementation intentions research, 1999, demonstrated that replacing vague goals with specific when-then protocols reduces procrastination by 300%. Not, I'll work on the report. Instead, when I sit at my desk at 9 a.m., then I open the document for exactly 2 minutes. The brain stops evaluating the task as identity-threatening and begins processing it as a mechanical sequence. The third weapon dismantles the dopamine debt spiral. Huberman's protocol involves a deliberate dopamine fast, 24 to 48 hours without artificial pleasure spikes, followed by reintroducing real effort activities. Simultaneously, you generate synthetic dopamine by celebrating micro-progress with internal acknowledgement immediately after each small task completion. This recalibrates the baseline, making effortful work neurochemically competitive with passive consumption again. The spiral reverses. Now, the 90-second override I promised. Neuroscientist Jill Bolte Taylor established that any uninterrupted emotional response physiologically completes its chemical cycle within 90 seconds. When procrastination anxiety spikes, do not escape it. Instead, physically feel the discomfort for exactly 90 seconds, breathing deliberately. The amygdala receives no avoidance reinforcement signal. The cortisol wave crests and falls. Your prefrontal cortex comes back online. Then you begin. In 1998, Roy Baumeister conducted the now legendary radish experiment at Case Western Reserve University. Participants who resisted eating cookies, exerting willpower, subsequently gave up on puzzles 3 times faster than those who hadn't resisted anything. The revelation? Willpower is a finite, depletable neurological resource. Every act of self-control drains the same reservoir. Procrastinators who rely on willpower are fighting the war with a weapon that exhausts itself in the first battle. Baumeister's finding reframes everything. The procrastinator who fails isn't weak-willed. They're depleted. The real hack isn't building more willpower, it's engineering an environment where willpower becomes unnecessary. Remove decision points. Pre-commit to conditions. Let architecture replace discipline. The brain doesn't fight what it can't see. Structure your world so that beginning becomes the path of least neurological resistance, not the road requiring maximum psychological courage. Now the full reveal. The 90-second technique works because it's the only intervention that doesn't ask your rational brain to defeat your emotional brain. It lets the emotional wave complete its natural biochemical arc. Stop fighting yourself. You were never lazy. You were neurologically ambushed. Subscribe if you want to understand the human mind without filters. Tomorrow, we reveal the dark psychological pattern behind every self-destructive relationship. The bell ensures you don't miss it. What if the person you're fighting hardest against is the version of yourself that actually wants to succeed?